Past Sunday night, I was sitting at the table playing Mahjong game with both my sons. But somewhere between deciding to win a hand and watching my son drop the exact tile that I was commanding in my mind, I realized I had just figured out how to win this game of life and business, taking my business up to $4.4 million. It is not from a masterclass, not even from any of my mentors, but from this game. This is week 13 of my live business building experience. And this week, between Silicon Valley sales discussions, unwinding from a very high energy trip, and author Neale Donald Walsch saying yes to writing foreword to my first and upcoming ever book, it was the Mahjong table on Mother's Day that put it all together for me. Stay till the end, because what I'm about to show you changes how you play any game, including this one. Hi, my name is Ajita and welcome to my YouTube channel. With over 20 years of corporate career experience as an executive, I am now the spiritual and consciousness advisor for tech founders, CEOs, and tech leaders who are ready to upgrade their leadership capacity and consciousness to play and live at visionary scale. I am not building this business from hustle and grind. Instead, I'm using 5 key principles for what I call 5 I's: infinite intelligence, identity, intention, intuition, and inspired action. This is my live case study of taking my business from $0 to $4.4 million using these 5 key I principles and my Epic Leadership Operating System framework. And for those of you that are new here, Epic Leadership Operating System is my proprietary framework that I use both with my clients as well as in my own business, where E stands for Emotional Operating System, P for Physical Operating System, I for Intellectual Operating System, and C for Consciousness Operating System. Week by week in my channel, you will see invisible shifts creating visible outer results. We are now on week 13. Let's see what's shifted. This week, I was coming off of a high energy 10 days in Silicon Valley, attending multiple conferences, having investor and sales discussions, and in the midst of that, navigating the inner voice, the shadow within me that kept cropping up with its ugly head and ugly voice that I have now learned to love. And my final one-on-one with author Neale Donald Walsch in his spiritual mentorship group, and also coming back home to Virginia with so much more clarity than I ever have. On paper, it looked like a really high stakes week, and it was, by many standards it was. But I think the moment that really tied everything for me together was happening at the kitchen table when I was playing Mahjong with my 2 sons. So let's talk about what are the various shifts I experienced this week. So as always, I start with 5 key moments or events or incidents, and in each one of them, I deep dive into dissecting what I experienced in my internal operating system on emotional, physical, intellectual, and consciousness levels, and what exactly shifted for me, and what was the outer action that I took, and what's in it for you as a listener. How can you benefit from my experience, and what is your takeaway? So let's take a look at those 5 key moments and the 5 key shifts that I've experienced. So let's talk about the first incident. This is the point at which my shadow showed up uninvited. So what exactly happened? So I was at this conference actually the week before last, but what transpired in that conference did not come into my awareness until last Tuesday or Wednesday, I would say. And it was interesting because it was a very casual conversation where a group of us were standing, and there happened to be 2 people that were from the same location as I am back in India, which is South India. And there was a person who made a statement, knowing that I was from there. He actually made a statement that Tamilians, Tamil, that's the language that I speak, that's my mother tongue. And where I'm from is called Tamil Nadu or Tamil Nadu, if you want to say it really properly with pronunciation. Tamil Nadu, the person said, people who are from Tamil Nadu are not rich. He made a very specific statement that way. And he himself was from the same state, Tamil Nadu. And I immediately pushed back on that statement. And I said, well, that's not true for me, right? First of all, I did that because on a conscious level, I didn't believe that was true. Neither did I want to take that to be a belief in my own operating system. So my immediate response to it was say, oh, then I don't believe that's true for me. It landed in the group beautifully. However, when I was in reflection mode last Wednesday, this thing came to my awareness and I started asking, why did I even react? Why did I even make that statement? Like, which part of me wanted to prove myself to be rich or affluent or whatever be that response that I was giving? And I think there were two things that unfolded there. One, I realized that there was a desire to not take on that to be a belief, to be true for me, which is very valid as a response, but did it have to be expressed externally, right? So I really had to deep dive into understanding my psyche. There were two parts that I unraveled for myself, and I'm sharing this because this is the kind of self-awareness that has been monumentally shifting my internal state of being, thereby bringing external results that I experienced even in the Silicon Valley trip. So when I reflected on the two aspects, the one aspect was attributing the word rich to something other than what this typically meant. What do people typically mean when they say you're rich? That you are wealthy or affluent, right? Money, financial meaning is what we attach to it. And when I responded, a part of me responded from a place of being rich in various aspects of who I am and what I bring to this world. But there's also a part of me that said, wait a second, could it be possible that you are trying to be out of integrity with yourself by claiming yourself to be affluent or rich in their terms, when that may not be true in other people's measurement, right? It's such a subjective word, and there's so much of interpretation that could be put into this. So when I when I did this reflection, I deep dove into my operating system on EPIC levels. This is what I found. On an emotional level, I felt a little bit of dissonance. There was a lack of something matching externally and internally. Did I say something that is out of integrity for myself? Fear of being exposed. Am I an imposter? I'm claiming myself to be rich, but am I really rich financially? Right? That's one other element that we start comparing ourselves with. And the truth is, who gives the measuring yardstick? Who determines whether somebody is rich or not? It is subjective. As someone who has $1 billion, like I shared this 2 weeks ago in my startup grind experience, a billionaire could still compare himself with someone who has $10 billion and say, I'm not rich. So it's a very comparative aspect, right? So I caught that aspect first. Okay, this dissonance is because something inside me and outside that I've said is not sitting right. That's the first thing I caught. The second thing is my physical body. There was a level of tension. My body was feeling, nervous system was feeling a bit dysregulated. And so I needed to sit with that feeling to really unravel what exactly is happening here, that one innocent response that I gave back to that particular statement. And the third thing is intellectually, there was this voice that said, wait a second, you are positioning yourself to be someone that has not necessarily reflected all of that in the external world. So are you being a fake? Are you being out of integrity? I think that was the key trigger for me. And last but not the least, the consciousness operating system was really about, why did this desire for me to prove that which part of me really wanted that identity to be fixed? The biggest shift I experienced that the energy of proving that I'm not a poor Tamil woman, that when I realized that I was in the proving energy, everything softened for me. Why? Because I am is an identity. Anything that comes after I am is a belief that I'm holding about who I am. So I am a rich woman. I am a rich Tamil woman. I'm not a poor Tamil woman. All of those combinations of identity was triggered. I'm smiling as I say this is because this is such powerful awareness and work that happens so quickly. It was a micro-minute statement that came blurting out of my system that I hadn't paid attention to. And the minute I dissected it on the 4 levels, it became very evident that I was operating from an identity that I must prove myself to be ABC. And so the energy of proving is where the awareness landed. What is the need for me to prove anything about myself? Who am I trying to prove anything to? Right? Because when you are in the energy and the identity of someone who has already accomplished that which you desire to accomplish, then there is no need to prove anything to anybody. There was no need to correct anybody, to prove anything otherwise. Nobody asked me to prove. Silence would have been a great response for that moment. Let the silence speak for itself. I think the biggest shift I had because of this particular incident and event past week reflection was remembering my identity as someone who has nothing left to prove to anybody, including myself. I have nothing to prove to anybody. I think this is a deeper lesson. Last week video I talked about posting a LinkedIn post with a picture of someone who I met, a billionaire, and deleting it because the original post was made from an energy of proving that I have proximity to high profile people. There again, I realized the lesson was there's nothing to be proven to anybody. Here again, the lesson is the same. And the reason I'm sharing this is because when a lesson lands in our physical body, which we call the embodied version of ourselves, when a lesson lands in our physical body, it lands in multiple waves over a period of time. And as long as we are paying attention and we are aware, it truly lands in your consciousness to uplift it to the next level. So the key lesson for me that has landed in the last week into this week, deepening of that lesson, is there is nothing left for me to prove to anybody, including myself. And the truth is, I am rich in wisdom, in experience. And no one said rich in terms of financials. It is the interpretation that led to all this, but it had a gift for me nevertheless. What is the outer action that I followed from there is I am going to speak less, which I most often do. At least when I'm with people, I'm fully present. I'm very, very powerful in my ability to listen. I'm simply going to deepen that skill and watch myself for where, if there's any urge or an impulse to prove myself in any way whatsoever. So what's your takeaway from this event or incident? Where are you working so hard to prove yourself to yourself or to others? Because the energy of proving is probably what's keeping your success at bay. Let's talk about incident number 2, event number 2. It happened on Thursday, my last work-oriented day, because I was flying back to Virginia on Friday. And this was the last conversation that I had as a meeting in Silicon Valley area. And it was a very interesting meeting that actually had so much gold to give me. So I had to share this with all of you. So I met this connection at one of the conferences that I attended in Bay Area. And the person introduced themselves as someone who invests in companies. And they had a very lofty number they shared about, the levels at which they invest. And we had a discussion about how I help founders and so on. So when the person reached out after taking my number saying, I would love to meet with you, maybe we can grab a coffee, I said, sure. My assumption was that I'm talking to someone who's an investor with a portfolio of companies, and the conversation might be focused on how my services may be of support and help for their founders that they have invested in. That was a big assumption, as I was going to find out soon. But here is the other thing that I did. I did check the person's LinkedIn profile, and it said they are a director at an organization that does this work. That should have been red flag enough for me to know that something wasn't aligned. But I dismissed it. I went to the conversation. I spent 90 minutes in the coffee shop with this person, and I was interrogated, interviewed, and grilled in every aspect of my work. And I was answering it like as if I was being interviewed. But what I didn't do was I didn't have an upfront clarity on the agenda, like what is the purpose of this meeting? What would you like to know? What would success look like for you in this conversation? Nothing. And towards the end, I find out that this person is actually interested in this service for himself. And the worst part about this is when that happened, I did not pause to ask, is this really my ideal client? Because he was not. He was not a founder. He was not a CEO. He was not even in the C-suite. He works for an organization and his profile does not match my ideal client. And there I am, spending 90 minutes with someone, giving all that I can give with all my heart, openness. And when I quoted my price, so I moved forward, right? When the person was interested, I asked a few more questions and I quoted my price. It shook him when I said what it takes to work with me one-on-one. And I didn't budge on the price at all. It was so interesting for me to watch the person negotiate, as much as he was saying, I'm not trying to negotiate, but can you not have a leap of faith? And I looked at him and I said, how about this? Why don't you tell me what you would be looking for, knowing that you know what I do and what transformation I create? What would you be looking for? What would be ideal for you? I have no idea why I said that, in all honesty, but that's what felt right at that moment. Because I do not believe in negotiating. I do not believe in even explaining what I do to that depth for someone who's expecting to be my client. The only reason I was explaining was thinking this was an investor who wants to use my services for their founders. Big assumption, and I made an ass of myself without a doubt. So here's what happened. Towards the end of the conversation, I could see something didn't sit right. He walked away. I didn't sense that he was upset then, but what made me realize that he could have been, and the more I reflected on it, I then caught on it, was he actually drove his car out of the parking lot in the wrong side. The oncoming traffic out of the parking lot, he drove his car out in that direction. That was such a telling sign of something not being right. So here's what happened for me internally. Despite watching that happen, I was completely neutral. I was neither upset, not even with myself, not with him, not with anything. I was completely neutral. I saw it for what it is. I actually saw it as 90 minutes of my energy and gift I could give to somebody who, for whatever reason, again, I don't believe in mistakes. I don't believe in accidents. I don't believe in coincidences. I truly believe that my assumption that this person was an investor and spending that 90 minutes was by design. This is my intellectual reframing, right? It was by design because that's what is needed for that person at the moment. Because the fact that my investment really shook him, I know that this is not the person that would ever say yes, at least right now in their current level of consciousness, to work with me. So what happened for me emotionally in that moment, I was completely neutral. He was trying to push and push and push. I was just calmly sitting there, not budging, neutral, responding. The only thing I observed was, oh, I misread the situation. But it was an observation. It was not a spiral. I didn't get down this old path of beating myself up and making everything wrong about me. None of that happened. So I'm celebrating that. The second thing, my body was completely calm, relaxed, in the most expansive, neutral, giving state. And this, for me, is gold. Because when your nervous system is so regulated, when the other person is trying to push you, the beauty about this is the person wants to work with me, wants my services. They see the value in it. But they cannot get themselves in their own mind to invest that kind of money to work with me. Whose problem is that? Really? Not mine. And that's exactly what I told myself. Intellectually, initially I felt, oh my God, I've given so much time. But the reframing, like I shared with you, was this is exactly what was needed for this person at the moment to get to that, maybe to use it to the next level of movement in their own way. It became a lesson in pre-qualifying, agenda setting, not making assumptions. It became a lesson and I take it as such. The best part about the entire consciousness level is I was in my queen energy. I did not budge. I stayed there. I didn't shrink. I didn't reduce my price. I didn't do anything at all to my offer. I stayed in that energy saying, I know exactly what value I bring to my clients, and the price that I command is the price at which they will find the most value from working with me. And that is it. The identity was rooted and there was no wavering, no wobbling. So for me, I would say the biggest shifts were in this particular situation in my intellectual and my consciousness. Intellectual because I reframed it to be a lesson learning experience, and also that this was exactly what the other person needed. And the consciousness is, the queen energy. It was complete embodiment and it was beautiful. Outer actions that followed because of that is new rule that I am not going to meet with people unless there's a clear idea of what the agenda is. At a minimum, knowing who are they talking to me for. Is it for are they an investor or are they a CEO? If not, how can I help them and where do I go from there? I think the beautiful thing that unfolded as an outer action from this is Silicon Valley became the ground for me to realize that there is a market for group offering. I did not know the time was now, but I was very clear coming out of this meeting into the next day. It became very clear that my group offering had to be launched. I was thinking it was going to be sequenced 6 months later. Apparently not. There are people that are interested in my kind of services at a price point and at a group setting that is more reasonable and reachable for them. And it became very clear. I did talk to my mentor as well, I talked to both Neale Donald Walsch and with my mastermind mentor, and they both validated to me that go with what brings you joy and expansiveness. If you're naturally called to teach and serve a larger audience, go for it. Don't sequence it. Sequencing is a logical mind thinking. That's where I was. I thought, oh, maybe my intuition is saying it's not time yet. No, it was my logic that was saying sequence then, not my intuition. I decided right then and there on Thursday that I'm launching my group offering for tech leaders, tech professionals, tech founders, early stage founders, or even people that are not in technology but are professionals, senior professionals that are at this place where they have been successful in their career, they've been successful in what they do, however, are finding themselves at a point where they can't seem to shift to that next level of lead. That's who I'm focused on helping in upgrading that leadership internal architecture and operating system so they can step up to the next level of consciousness. I don't yet have a full write-up and name and description, etc., which I'll be working on this week. But the beauty is, I launched it purely through Instagram. I put a quick video out there letting people know that that's what I'm doing. And I reached out to 2 people that I was intuitively asked to reach out to. And I reached out to 2 other people that had already told me to inform them when I do a group program launch. 4 people I have reached out to. 1 person has confirmed, and I'm celebrating that. That was pretty quick. 1 person has already confirmed. And I also was intuitively guided to offer first 5 enrollees a special offering, something special for the first 5 people. They're going to be in the founding circle. And so that's something that came through intuitively as well. And I'm just flowing with it. You know, a week ago, the group offering was never in place, was never a plan. Here I am landing into the intuitive knowing and clear awareness that this is what's asked of me and flowing with it. And I've already set up meetings with 2 different companies for exploring ads. Ads have been in my awareness for even 6 to 8 months now. It's been like I am meant to be seen in a broader scale. So I am stepping into being visibly the leader that I came here to be. So I'm going to be partnering with a company to launch Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and go out in the world and go help these leaders that are so in need of what I'm doing and what I'm bringing to this world. So that's my big outer action coming out of this one, not just one, but many conversations that I've had in Bay Area. So what's your takeaway from this experience? A queen never explains her price. A queen never explains anything that she holds in her energy. And the queen attracts people by who she is and those who see her value, or she lets them go. See, this is the beauty about being a queen, is you stay in your energy and naturally attract those that are drawn to work with you, are fully aware of their greatness, ready to blossom through your presence in their life. When that doesn't happen, let those people go and learn whatever lesson you need to learn as the queen that you are, because you are always evolving as well. So my question to you, where are you auditing yourself after every conversation, making yourself small, making yourself wrong? Where is the opportunity where you can own more of your queen or your king energy? Incident number 3. This happened on Thursday. This was the day I had my last one-on-one with the spiritual mentorship program with Neale Donald Walsch, the author of Conversations with God and 42 other books. Such a privilege to be in the energy of such a wise soul. And I'm so grateful the day I jumped in and I said yes to this program. It was a beautiful awareness for me, because what happened in that conversation was his confirming my purpose, his confirming my awareness, my level of consciousness, my role in this world, how ready I am to do it, has been beautiful, incredibly beautiful. And the key thing that I want to share about this incident is I felt guided to ask Neale if he would be open, and I did tell him no is a perfectly fine answer, if he would be open to write a foreword to my first book that I'm authoring. Incidentally, Neale was the one who, on my very first one-on-one, asked me if I had already written a book, and I said no. So he gave me the deadline of August 14th this year to complete writing my book. So I asked him, would he be open to writing the foreword to my book? And he said yes. He said yes, as long as you finish the book by August 14th. And I am so up in the clouds right now about this because I'm 14 chapters into my book already. And we are in mid-May. I've got exactly June, July, August, 3 months to finish my book. I have a feeling I'm going to finish it way before August 14th. That all happened in like 60 seconds of that conversation. So, you've seen me explain the epic leadership operating system changes that I experience with events externally that are always triggering. But here is an example of an event which I experienced with such beauty, where every part of my internal operating system was so beautifully aligned. Emotionally, I was in gratitude. I was in the energy of absolute gratitude to be in the presence of someone so wise and so incredible. Gratitude so big that I almost couldn't hold it. And physically, I was feeling so light. I was just my joyful version. My body was relaxed. My nervous system was so regulated. There was nothing that I could experience as dissonance at that moment. Intellectually, instead of saying, who am I to even ask Neale? What if he says no? None of those thoughts even crossed my mind. I was in the energy of my work is being recognized by highest levels. It is touching the people that it's meant to touch with the energy of Neale in that book. The book is real. I'm already done writing it. That's a huge intellectual frame of mind to be at. Last but not the least, the consciousness level it was an identity confirmation moment. The version of me that writes books that are endorsed by authors like Neale Donald Walsch, that's who I am. Not someday, today, right now. So the key shift on this particular situation or the event is that the outer confirmation of the author Neale Donald Walsch saying yes didn't create my version as identity. Identity was formed first before that result unfolded externally. Outer actions, I have a real deadline. I'm already writing. It's on schedule. Title is solidifying for the book. I'm thrilled to be experiencing this very moment with all of you. I think another aspect of that conversation was when I asked Neale Donald Walsch, how did you choose to start serving? You're serving everybody. What do you believe about niching down? The topic that everybody in the business marketing space talks about. His response was very expansive. And so what that led me to also solidify for myself is I no longer need to sequence between large iconic offering that I have versus the group offering. Like they don't have to be sequenced. They can actually go parallel and be out there in the world for me to serve at the same time. What's your takeaway? The outer confirmation that you're waiting on one day to arrive at so that you could feel a certain way, so that you could be a certain way, that's not how reality works. The outer confirmation simply confirms who you are at the moment. So the question you want to ask yourself is this: where are you waiting for evidence before you become that version of you? Become that version of you first, the evidence will follow next. Incident number 4. This is a day, Sunday, that I woke up with a lot of spiraling thoughts about what's going to go wrong, what's not going to work, about the money situation, about the business, about the visibility. So many things were weighing on me. I opened up an email that came from one of my beautiful mentors, Bob Anderson from Leadership Circle. He had sent an email to all of his newsletter subscribers, and he talked about the moment where he had to fully surrender during his open heart surgery. And it totally broke me open. It was like the infinite intelligence sending me the very message that I needed to hear and to feel, to let go of this pressure, the spiraling thoughts, the negative downward dip that I was going into. So emotionally, when I woke up, I was in fear, overwhelmed. There was a lot of weight in my shoulder, in my heart, grief unprocessed still, the fear of what's going to happen, fear of unknown. Everything came flooding in on Sunday. Reading his message broke me down. I was in tears because it became an awareness shift for me to say, wow, what a timing it is. And he didn't send the email at that time. He sent the email a few days ago. I happened to open it at that very moment as I woke up from my meditation. So I put myself through a meditative state to get past this fear. Then I opened my eyes and I opened my phone and I saw this email and I started reading it and I was in tears. So I will say that what came to awareness emotionally was the grief of what it has taken for me to come this far. It has been a monumental journey for the human in me, and to have navigated loss after loss after loss after loss. It really reminded me how much I've been carrying alone. This is a moment of tender recognition of what a heavy journey it has been over the last 11 years. To just carry all of that through has not been an easy process. To allow for that part of me to be recognized, to be held and say, it's okay, you've been through a lot, so it's okay to grieve, it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel fear. Then I went through this meditation to really move into the void, the unknown. Because sometimes when you fear something, the best thing you can do is go in there, go into what you fear, the unknown. Because unknown is also a place of possibilities. So I meditated, and then I shifted intellectually. I said, the story right now in my head is, you should have been successful by now. You should have been here by now. You should be this by now. You should be that by now. The stories. And I said, you know what? Whatever I'm seeing externally right now in my circumstances is my past version's creations. As long as I focus on it, I'll only create more of it. So I decided to shift my focus and said, in order to create a new reality, I have to focus on what it is that I want to create from the new version of me. That's where I moved into the consciousness layer, and I said, I shifted my identity as someone who has failed, or someone who is clueless, someone who keeps trying again and again. All these narratives, all these judgments are in my own system. Nobody's telling me that. And so I shifted and I said, I'm a miracle. The fact that I've lived through such huge changes, come over to the other side, and thriving, living life in full reverence for life for what it is, in reverence for the beauty the life has to offer, in reverence for the art that flows through us, the life that flows through us, the energy that we are, the love that we are. That in itself is a feat. So I am a miracle. Nobody can make me believe otherwise. I am a true living miracle, as all of us are, all of you are. And so I believe that to be my new identity. I'm a miracle. I've surrendered before. Through every one of these losses I've been through, I have surrendered before. And I was deeply held, beautifully held. I just had to remember it again. And I remembered it again. And I said, the work is done. The deepest, hardest, most toughest work is complete. All you're being asked to right now, not to do, but to be in the state of surrender. And remember that all that you desire, your wishes are already fulfilled. You simply have to say yes. Yes, I'm the wish fulfilled state of myself, the identity of me that has achieved the greatest, grandest vision and version that I am. That is who I am. And I've achieved my greatest, grandest vision already. It was a beautiful shift. So the biggest experience that I've had in this is allowing myself to process the emotions that came up, the fear, and rather than trying to ignore it, push it away, restrain it, simply allowing myself to feel the emotions. This is a big lesson for a lot of us, especially in tech space or analytical space, engineers, where you rationalize your emotions. Please don't do that. Feel into it. Process your emotion. Go into it. Deep dive into it. The more you feel it, the sooner it leaves. That's the trick behind emotions, Consciousness layer, I would say, was the more we focus on what is not there, the more we're going to find more of it. So it is about shifting your eye and your gaze and your vision from what is lacking to what is present and what it is that you want to create. From an outer action standpoint, I'm getting clear on my group offering pricing, declaring that May 2026 is going to be my first 6-figure revenue month. So what's your takeaway? Surrendering is often mistaken as giving up. In fact, surrendering is the most powerful act of leadership you will ever take. Because what surrender says is, I trust what I cannot see and that which I cannot measure. And I know that I'm held. That's what true surrender is. So my question to you is, where are you resisting to surrender? And where are you discounting your own knowing? Incident number 5, the last one for this week and the most powerful one. This happened on Sunday evening. I was playing Mahjong with my two sons, enjoying my Mother's Day with them. This time I was winning the rounds with my boys. Why? Is it because I became technically super good at learning how to play the game? Not at all. Here's what I noticed in every game that I was winning. Number one, somewhere during the process of the game, I make a decision. Something in my awareness clicks and says, I'm winning this game. It's a thought. A very focused, sharp, precise thought. I'm winning this game. It's a declaration. I'm not making it out loud. I'm making it up here. Number two, in the beginning of the game, when the tiles are, given to you, I look at them and I have zero judgments about them. What is this? Nothing can be formed. There is no sequence. There is no triplets. No judgments. I look at them and I start by saying, interesting tiles, which means I'm unattached to what they are. I'm free and open to exchanging them through the game. Okay. The third thing I noticed is once I decide that I'm going to win the game, I literally am commanding my mind and the field around me to bring the tiles that I want to form the sequence or the triplets or the formations. Okay. And the fourth thing I noticed is this. I pay attention to the tiles. For example, if I drop a tile and then I draw a tile and that happens to be the exact same tile that I dropped, then I notice that, so I'm not supposed to drop this, so let me keep it. The natural logical tendency is there are only 4 tiles of the same type. If you drop one, your chances of forming a triplet with that tile that you've just again picked up is slim. But I did the counter logical way to say, I just dropped this tile, but then I'm being given the same tile again. There must be a reason. So I kept it. See? And so this is what was unfolding. And I noticed that right before I was close to winning, maybe 1 or 2 tiles away from winning, I will literally command in my mind to have one of my sons drop that tile. I literally will tell in my mind, okay, one of you drop this for me. And like clockwork, one of them will drop in the next turn or the other. So one of the rounds we were playing, I was looking for one particular tile to be dropped. I was commanding it that be dropped by one of them. My younger son drops a tile. It looks very similar. So I'm literally going to grab it and then I pull my hand back and I say, no, that's not what I want. Then I smile, they both smile. Now probably they know what I'm looking for, right? Then you would think they'll become cautious and they'll not drop the exact tile that I'm looking for. Instead, the right next step, my older son drops that very tile that I was looking for and I won. I'm giving this as an example because this game taught me something about life and business. That's what I'm going to share with you right now. So what exactly transpired? Emotionally, I was in delight, curiosity, unattached, and a deep recognition that this Mahjong game that I'm playing is not an accident. It is the beautiful infinite intelligence giving me a masterclass lesson on how to play in business and life. It's alignment, it's downloads. Physically, I was in play mode. I was unattached. I was having such a fun time with my boys, and losing, winning didn't matter because I was just enjoying the process. I was playing with the field of energy to see how I can create what I want and playfully molding it. Intellectually, the new narrative is I can influence the field with my mind, my thoughts, my intention. And so decision had to be made first that I'm winning this hand. That decision came first, which you could also call as intention, right? And then comes the intuition, and then comes the action. It was commanding the outcome and unattached to it happening. That's what made the difference. And the consciousness is one of embodied winner. I'm a winner. And whether I win every game or not, whether I win every round or not, I'm a winner, irrespective. So the identity was I'm a winner because I'm not competing with anybody else. I'm simply learning how to become a better version of myself from the previous moment to this moment to next moment. So I'm always winning because my competition is, if anything, with my own self. And that identity of I'm a winner really embodied, made it become so easy that I was playing with absolute playfulness. I was literally playing. I was not playing to win. Here's how I learned to apply this lesson from Mahjong game to business. Number one, infinite intelligence. The field is everywhere around us. It's waiting to be molded by our consciousness, right? So number one, become aware of the field. There's a field of of energy around me in my business right now that I get to mold. Number 2, identity. Who I believe I am. I am a billionaire. I am a multimillionaire. Whatever that identity is for you. Embodying that identity. Saying that is who I am. Right? And then comes the intention, which is the decision and the choice that you're making. What decision am I making right now? What's my intention? My intention is to create this particular result in my business, in this case 100K month in May 2026. That's the intention. And from that intention comes intuitive action, right? Intuition comes in, intuitive downloads come in. So decision has been made, now I'm intuitively taking action. One of the intuitive ideas that I got was to go with the group program right away instead of waiting for sequencing it. That's an intuitive download, that's an intuitive alignment. And I've said yes to it, I've declared it, it's out in the world right now. I'm going to move forward with that as well. So I've got 2 offerings, both with the intention of serving people that are ready to be served with this level of work and with this level of energy and presence from my end. Decision has been taken, inspired action has also been unfolded, which is making that announcement in my social media, reaching out to people that I've been intuitively receiving names of and writing to them and saying, this is what I'm planning to do. If it calls to you, let's talk. And in all this process, do not be attached to achieving that outcome. I am that identity, already, but I'm not desperate, I'm not attached. Someone is not feeling called to respond to my message about, hey, is this something of interest? Let's talk. They don't respond. I don't make meaning out of it. They respond, great. I get on a call with them, share what I do. They don't want to join, no problem. Don't make meaning out of it. So what's your takeaway? You're not trying to figure out how to win in this game, because if you're doing that, it's unlikely it'll happen. You are deciding that you already are who you wish to be. It's a decision. And then you let your intuition lead. So ask yourself, if the game was already rigged in your favor, will you still be playing scared? So this week has been monumental in terms of internal shifts and external results. From having someone like Neale Donald Walsch say yes to forwarding my first ever book, to dealing with a deep fear that showed up out of nowhere. This is the spectrum that leaders operate in every single day in the age of AI. If anything, this uncertainty, the volatility, the economic ups and downs, the climatic changes, the geopolitical disturbances, all of this is only going to become more and more, because the ask of us as leaders in this era is not to do more, is not to be more intelligent or to outpace AI. The ask is to become more human, remember our deeper truth of being spiritual beings walking a human experience, and to deepen the connection with our soul and to uplevel our consciousness. That's the ask of us. And for that, the core work that is needed is shifting who we believe we are. You are not your net worth. You are not your network. You are not who others have made you believe you are. You are whoever you choose to be, the next greatest, grandest version of yourself. And the ask of you is, are you ready to play the game of life and business the way I played at the Mahjong table to create my own reality? If you like this video and you found value, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means a lot. I look forward to receiving your responses, your comments. And if any of you are drawn to work with me in the group offering, please let me know in comments. We'll be more than happy to have a conversation. Until then, see you next week.